one of the games I watched yesterday really got me back to my past, though. And when I say my past, it got me back to high school. It got me back to when I first started playing sports. Because growing up for me in the 80s and 90s, I got coached really, really hard. And I loved being coached hard. I chose my university, San Diego State, because I was being coached by Ted Toner, who was a hard-nosed disciplinarian guy who just told it like it was. And that's what I respected about coaches who treat everyone the same. Whether you're the number one player or the last player on the roster, you admire those coaches. Those are the coaches that when you're playing for them, you're like, man, but after you get done playing with, or when you graduate, you move on, you realize that that coach was giving nothing but tough love, and he cared about you and wanted to see the best out of you. I say that because yesterday, Tom Izzo and his Michigan State Spartans, they were in a game yesterday, right? They were in a game against Bradley, and they weren't playing up to, we think, their potential, especially for their seed. To be a number 2 seed, you would think, hey, that they would, you kind of get the rough patches out earlier in the game, and then as the game goes along, they will pull away. But Tom Izzo had a moment there where he had to grab his team, and he had to go out and coach hard and challenge his players, challenge his young freshmen. And you got a point. You got to not necessarily be physical, but be able to tell them, hey, that's not what you do there. It's okay to tell players you make mistakes. You can't coddle players. And that's, maybe I'm just the old school part of me, but I know some people today are looking at what Izzo was doing yesterday and challenging and getting up in his players' faces. And people are saying, oh, man, you can't do that. You can't do that. To me, I wanted that. I craved that because I respected my elder. I respected my coach because I know what he was doing was putting me in the right situation to be at my best. I would never get mad at a coach. Now, are there coaches who step over the line? Some may, but when you look at the resume of Tom Izzo, when you look at everything that he's accomplished, when you look at all the players that are playing in the NBA or playing professionally, and when you look at the championships, the Final Four appearances, if that coach tells me, hey, you're not playing right now, you're making too many mistakes, what are you doing? I'm not going to be one to try to fight back on coach. I got to get my act together. I've been there before. I know Tom Izzo, obviously a lot of people took umbrage to that, but here's a little Tom Izzo post-game just talking about, why he coaches this way and what the tournament brings out of him as a head coach.
This is one and done time, The my bads are out the window. If they're my bads because that team played better or that guy played better, if it's my bad because I decided to jog back instead of sprint back, then it is your bad and you're going to hear about it. I get a kick out of you guys. Get after somebody because you're trying to hold them accountable. I don't know what kind of business you're in, but I'll tell you what, if I was the head of a newspaper and you didn't do your job, you'd be held accountable. That's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
It's the way it is.
I love it.
My bad season is over.
Yeah, I had a coach in the NFL told me, he looked at every one of us, all 53 men in that locker room and said, look, fellas, I am out of the my bad business. I don't want any part of that. I don't want to put any stock in that business because I'm out of that. There is no more my bads. Either you get it done or you'll be sitting next to me. Straight up. And so I love the way Coach Izzo is explaining it there.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.